Hey everybody, and welcome back to Lindsey's Little Library. So I'm here today for a little BookList Thursday fun. BookList Thursday is something I do with Sarah over at Sarah's Nightstand. We come to you every Thursday with some sort of book, thoughts, ideas, recommendations, something bookish related. So today, since it's officially halfway through 2022, for BookList Thursday, Sarah and I are going to do the mid-year book freakout tag. So this tag's been around for a while. I've done this at least the last 3, maybe 4 years, quite a bit, but it's a nice little check-in midway through the year to kind of see how is your reading life going. So there's 13 questions. I'm gonna put them in the description as well, and link my answers to them. It was a nice little reality check, so let's get started. Question number 1, best book you've read of 2022 so far. This was kind of tough, but then as I was scrolling through my Goodreads, because I use Goodreads to kind of keep track of the books that I've read for the year, and I saw this one and I was like, yep, hands down, best book I've read this year, and I read it pretty early. So this is The Sun Does Shine by Anthony Ray Hinton. I've talked about it a few times. This is his own memoir of how he wound up in prison, how he wound up on death row, and the process he went through to get acquitted. So very interesting book. His faith and his determination and how he viewed the situation he was in and his lessons about like forgiveness are just fantastic. And this is something I definitely can see myself rereading or listening to in the future. It was really, really, really good. Loved it. Everybody should read this book. Question number 2 is the best sequel you read for 2022, and I feel like I have the same answer every year at this time. I haven't read any. I've read 0 sequels. Not that I don't have sequels to read, I have plenty. For some reason, I don't gravitate towards them. Not even sure why. Even when they end on a cliffhanger, like Creep by Jennifer Hillier that I just read, ended on a cliffhanger. Really want to know what happens. Have I picked up the book? No. So gotta get on the sequel bandwagon one of these months. It's gonna happen. Question number 3 is a new release that you haven't read yet but you really want to. I actually have 2 of them that I picked up recently. I have Aurora by David Kepp. This one takes place in Aurora, Illinois, and the power ends up going out, not just for the city, but there's like some sort of solar flare-up that affects like the entire world, and kind of what happens from there. It sounds intriguing. I'm into it. Plus this cover is like gorgeous. The other one I want to pick up is The Island by Adrienne McKinney. Creepy. Basically this family goes on vacation onto an island. A terrible accident happens and it says you don't know what you're capable of until they come for your family. So those are 2 that I would love to get to by the end of the year. Question number 4 is your most anticipated read for the second half of the year, and that one, I cannot wait for this book, and I even have it on NetGalley. Can't wait. It's called When We Had Wings. It is by 3 authors. We have Ariel Lawhon, whom I love. We have Susan Meisner, whom I love. And we have Christina McMorris, whom I haven't read anything yet, but I'm sure I'm gonna love her. So this one is based on true events, which I love historical fiction, based on true events. We have alternating perspectives. Again, love that in a book. We follow 3 nurses who are working in the Philippines prior to when Pearl Harbor is bombed, and then what happens after Pearl Harbor is bombed. These women were known as the Band of Angels, and it kind of goes through what they went through. I am beyond excited for this book. I think it comes out in October, not totally sure, but I cannot wait. I cannot wait. Question number 5, biggest disappointment. That is what's mine is yours. I can't think of the author's name right now, but it's over here. This is a book I went into thinking was a story of a friendship that developed when a high school became more integrated. There was a more diverse population at the school, and a white girl and a black boy formed a really unique friendship. And I thought that that's what the main premise of the book was going to be, and I was sorely disappointed. That was a piece of it, but definitely not the focus of the book. So just wasn't for me. And so I've already unhauled it, which is totally fine. Number 6 is the biggest surprise of the year. And this one is going to go to a middle grade book that I'm not a huge middle grade reader. Every so often I'll pick them up, but definitely not my main focus. And during middle of grade March, a number of people were talking about the book All 13. It was about how the soccer team who got stuck in a cave was able to escape. I went into it randomly on I want to say it was like a Sunday. My daughter had basketball. We had a lot of time in between. I was able to download it, and I read that book like in one day. I remember watching her game, and like she was off on the bench and not playing, and I'd be reading a couple pages. And as soon as she came back in, I'd watch her, and then I'd read a couple pages. It was so well done and so good, and such a surprise as to how much I really, really enjoyed that book. And the story is just unbelievable. It's crazy. I loved it. So, biggest surprise. Question number 7 is favorite new author from the year. This can either be a debut author or a new to me author, and that would be Fiona Davis. I read The Address. I've had this on my shelf for quite a while. It's a story that takes place in the Dakota in New York in the late 1800s, and we have 2 timelines, late 1800s and then late 1900s. And we follow this kind of mystery of what happened with this woman who comes over and works in the Dakota. Loved it. I loved her writing. I loved how she set up the story. I love how she integrated both of the timelines, the past and the present. It was so fantastic. I have more Fiona Davis books on my shelf. I need to read them soon. She's quickly becoming a favorite author of mine, so I'm beyond excited that I finally picked this up. Question number 8 is newest fictional crush. I don't get a lot of fictional crushes per se, but man, does Colleen Hoover know how to write an amazing male character. And so I read Reminders of Him, and Ledger is one of the characters in the book who is kind of the only one in a position to see and understand the other main character, I can't think of her name, when she comes to town, and just kind of has empathy for her, interacts with a child, which is just so heartwarming. He's just a good guy. So I wouldn't mind meeting Ledger. He'd be fantastic. So there it is. Question number 9 is my newest favorite character, and I'm gonna go with Avery from the Inheritance games. She has this way of adapting to situations, of really being able to understand maybe the whole picture of what's going on. She's got some growing up to do. She's not perfect, but man, Avery can go places. So there are 2 other books that follow this, that follow her kind of adventure as she is trying to get the inheritance that has been bestowed upon her. She just has to live in this house for a year, and there's a whole bunch of games afoot. It's crazy. So I'm excited to see if she matures and what she kind of turns into in the next couple of books, but she's fun. She's super fun. Number 10 is a book that made you cry. This is also a book that has 2 of my favorite characters, but I want to switch things up a little bit. So The 100 Years of Lenny and Margot definitely shed some tears, and I'm not a big crier. Not. But I couldn't help it. So this follows Lenny and Margot, who are both on the terminal ward of a hospital. So they both have diseases that are going to take them one day. And so they're just the way that they're living life is so unique and so awesome. And I just love this book. I love their friendship. I love what they did. It's fantastic. Definitely shed a tear. Question number 11 is a book that made you happy. I read Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I actually listened to this on audio, and I couldn't help. I was smiling and laughing as I'm walking the dog, listening to this banter between these 2 characters who you wouldn't think would come together in any sort of a friendship or relationship, but it just happens, and they needed each other. They needed each other to help them in the situations that they were in, reluctantly. And it was fantastic. They're so fantastic. I loved it. Every minute of it. Question number 12 is the most beautiful book that you received this year, and I cannot help but stare at this book. Women of Light by Kali Fiardo and Steen. But seriously, this cover. Glorious. glorious. Love, love, love. So this one is a dazzling epic of betrayal, love, and fate that spans 5 generations of an indigenous family in the American West. So I'm here for it. It still smells good, but gorgeous cover. I need to add this on my list to still read this year. I feel like this would be just a good summer read. I don't know why, but love it, love it, love it. And question number 13. We're at the end. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? Well, we're going to read some sequels, apparently, because I haven't read any. But besides that, I have a small pile. So this shelf is kind of like my next up shelf. So I have books I've already talked about on there. I have books from the 5-star predictions that I'm doing. I have books from any type of loose TBR I set up, sit there. But these are kind of ones I haven't talked to you guys about that I want to still get to this year. The first one is My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. This was sent to me from, I want to say Sarah sent me this, yeah, for Book Exchange Book. I've been seeing this in different places as a huge recommendation for thriller readers. I don't know anything about it, don't want to know anything about it, but it's on my radar. I need to pick it up. The next one I want to get to is just a classic Christina Lauren. We have Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating. I did read the first chapter or so, and typical Christina Lauren, rom-com, get you in the feels. I'm totally in for that. So just friends. If they repeat it enough, maybe it'll be true. I have a feeling that they're not going to be just friends, and it's going to be glorious. The next time I want to get to is another Kristen Hanna book. I've been slowly reading through her backlist as well. This is Magic Hour. So we have Pacific Northwest. There is the Olympic National Forest, million acres of impenetrable darkness and impossible beauty. From deep within its old-growth forest, a 6-year-old girl just appears, speechless and alone. She offers no clue to her identity, no hint to her past. I'm here for it. Next one I want to pick up, this has been on this shelf for a while, I need to get to this soon, is We Are Not Like Them by Christine Pride and Joe Piazza. This one follows 2 characters. We have Jen and Riley. They've been friends since kindergarten. And as adults, they've been as close as sisters, even though their lives have gone in different directions. So we have Jen, who is white and is married and is finally pregnant. We have Riley, who is African American and is very career focused. But then there's a police officer shooting of an unarmed Black teenager, and it really kind of puts their friendship to the test. So very interested to see where this book goes. And then I also have The Chain, which is the other Adrienne McKinty book. She also wrote The Island. And this is the first one I bought, so I want to read this one before I read The Island. Very interesting premise. Let's see. Morning starts like any other day. Rachel drops her daughter Kylie at the bus stop, heads on with her day. Gets a cell phone call from an unknown number, and there's a woman informing Rachel that she has kidnapped Kylie and currently has her bound and gagged in the back seat, and the only way Rachel will ever see her again is if she pays a ransom and kidnaps another child. So it just becomes this kind of chain of events that you have to do in order to get your kid back. I've heard really great things. So that one's also on my radar, as well as all the other ones. So we'll see where we get to by the end of the year. I'm always excited as far as what I pick up. I'm such a mood reader that things can change. But I've been really trying to consciously read books on my Kindle to get off my NetGalley shelf, as well as the ones that are actually on my shelf. And just kind of keep going and not afraid to put a book down if I'm not enjoying it. I've done that a few times this year as well. So anyways, head over to Sarah's channel, see what she has for her mid-year book freakout tag. I know this is around. There's a lot of other people doing this as well. I think it's a really fun tag. I've enjoyed watching the videos. So comment below if you have any books to share that you think I should pick up, or what your favorite book has been this year. Otherwise, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.